Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 6 of the CMSC iRacing Race at Home Championship. We are here at Circuit de la Denon in France, and at the moment the initial qualifying lap times are currently being set. As of now, we have Brian Pereira leading the way with a 1:19.3, closely followed by Denon Abiseker with a 1:19.4, with Shamal Mendes, the man deemed to be the fastest man on track this weekend, off to set his first representative lap. Just completed his out lap, and I believe he had an invalidated lap time of that last lap round. However, Shamal Mendes navigating his way through this roller coaster-esque circuit in France, very reminiscent of the Portuguese circuit in Portimao, where there are many blind corners as a result of many elevation changes here. We see one example here, a massive downhill section into a fast, almost flat fifth gear corner. You can run it a little bit wide without exceeding track limits, into a third gear hairpinish corner, now into another blind left hand kink left, into a sharp braking zone, into a second gear long hairpin, into a quick kink right. This is a good looking lap from Shamal Mendes, mounting the curb on the kink left, mounting the curb on the kink right, into a third gear final corner. Runs it a little bit wide, but on the limit, that is within track limits. Brian Pereira has just set a 19.1, going even quicker at the front, but what is Shamal Mendes going to set? Shamal Mendes comes across the line, he's done a 19.7, so these are just banker laps at the moment. Brian Pereira is currently heading the field out front. We have Dylan Abiseker, a 19.4 at the moment. Tehane Ranga has actually gone quickest. Tehane Ranga setting a 1:19 flat at the moment. He's gone 2/10 quicker than than Brian Pereira. Angelo Senaratna has just set a lap time of a 21.1. All these lap times will gradually start to decrease as the session goes along. We have just under 10 minutes left in this session. You see Nirosh Yashan making his way to the line to try and break the 1:20 barrier. And Nirosh Yashan is unable to improve that lap time. It seems to have been an invalidated lap time from Nirosh. And here we see Denon Abiseker being closely followed by Rian Atapatu. Rian Atapatu having set a 27.3, getting to grips with this track. It's a very, very tricky track here this weekend. But nonetheless, we have Sabi Ratnayaka here, trying to set a representative lap time. He hasn't set one just yet, but he's trying to follow in the tracks of Shamal Mendes, who is still running with a 1:19.7. He seems to have invalidated it yet another lap again. Running wide like this would not be helpful to their cause. As we go down the grid, we have Shan Amrisinghe currently in 8th with a 25.1. Angelo Senaratna with a 21.1. We know Angelo has more pace. We know most of these drivers can get into the 120s and 119s. We even saw some 118s being set in practice with the likes of Shamal Mendes and Denon Abiseker. There is definitely more time in the bag. Sharanya Mendes, a rookie this weekend, she will be taking part in her first race at home event. Her pace has also been strong in the build up to this event, as she's been setting mid 120s. We have Nirosh Yashan in the special blue HP livery, the Ferrari livery this weekend. Followed by Denon Abiseker. Oh, and there might have been just a little bit of a moment behind. Very big moment there for Centuran and for Rian Atapatu, catching both drivers out. Oh, and that was very close from Shamal Mendes, but might have not been so lucky for Kevan Samarajiva, who has gotten heavily involved in this incident. This is one of the primary cases of what can happen at the circuit, as it's such blind corners, which can lead to humongous pile-ups if drivers meet each other at the wrong moment. So things are starting to slowly die down. Not everybody has actually been able to find their groove just yet. Many of the quick drivers, like Shamal Mendes, have set one banker lap time, but have not been able to put in a final flying lap just yet. We know that Shamal's maybe 1 second down on his outright pace from practice. It's one thing to set a time in practice, it's a completely different thing to set a time here in qualifying. So as we go down the grid, we're right on board with Brian Pereira. He's a man coming into this weekend on hot fire form. He had a unfortunate weekend last time out in Virginia Tech, where he was involved in 3 first lap incidents in 3 different races, but nonetheless he was able to fight back to earn some good points throughout the rest of the races, finishing in P4, P5, and another P4 to round things off for the weekend. So what is Brian Pereira going to be able to do this qualifying session? Heavy braking to a 2nd gear or 3rd gear corner. Depending on driver preference, it would be good to keep it in 3rd if you can get the turn in right, to propel yourself through this downhill section. What can Brian Pereira set? We will ride on board with him through this final corner. The 3rd gear final corner runs a little bit wide, but I don't think that was exceeding track limits. All the way to the edge of the circuit, trying to maximize his time to the line. What is it? It seems to have been an invalidated time once again. So lots of these times are being invalidated. Wow, the back end is all over the place for Brian Pereira. We'll be looking to try and redeem that lap time. Angelo Senaratna is now into the 1 minute 20s, a 1 minute 20.7 for Angelo Senaratna from RT Racing. The other RT driver, Sharanya Mendes, also setting a 1 minute 21.3. But one driver who has not set an optimal lap time yet is Savi Ratnayaka. Savi coming across the line. Has he now set a lap time? Yet to see. He is not. Savi Ratnayaka has not set a representative lap time yet. So we'll ride back on board with Shamal Mendes, a 90.7 still for Shamal. He's heading into the first sector, but he has spun once again. Shamal clearly struggling with the setup of their car here in qualifying. It's very, very surprising stuff, as Denan Abesekra sets a lap time only 4/100ths off the time of Tehan Aranda. Denan crosses the line and it's even closer. 9 thousandths separate Denan and Tehan in qualifying at the moment. Nirosh Yeshan now crosses the line. It's not an improvement, it's an invalidated lap time. Brian is in the pits. It looks like Brian's qualifying might be over unless he's just saving time. Here's Savi Ratnayaka. Is it a representative lap time yet? It is not. Savi Ratnayaka has once again not set a representative lap time. Must just be track limits. Savi is kryptonite at the moment. See Brian Pereira still at a 119.1. Renat Patu heading into the pits, or he's just missed the pit lane. Come on, Samarjiva, what will he be able to do? In a 124.6. He was in the 122s. Can he set another 122? No, it was an invalidated lap time from the looks of it. Sharanya Mendes up to the line. Can she get into the 1 minute 20s? No, once again. It was a 1 minute 24.7, so it might have just been a cool down lap for Sharanya. With Shamal Mendes now starting yet another flyer. We'll ride on board with Shamal Mendes, which will be potentially his penultimate lap time here in qualifying. The man dubbed to get pole position this weekend is currently struggling and is in P5. Almost 7/10ths down from pole at the moment, but he's almost a second down from his optimal best lap time from practice. This is very surprising stuff here in qualifying. As we'll continue to stick with Xiaomo Mendes and keep an eye on whether there are any other improvements elsewhere on the circuit. Savirat Naika has now set an optimal lap time, and instead of 1 minute 20.1, he's right up there in 6th. But he just needs a little edge as Xiaomo Mendes runs a little bit wide, but if he's able to get the power down early enough, that could still be beneficial to him. Over the curbs, left and right, into the final corner. He needs to get his braking right and needs to get an optimal run out of the final corner. Can he set a lap time good enough for even the front row, or potentially even pole position up to the line? It's a 1:19.4. It's only good for P4. He has one more lap here to try and change that. Angelo Ceneratna also starting another lap. He's on a 1:20.3. He's still in P7. And there's a spin from Denon. Oh dear, this is not a good place for Denon to have had a spin, as it is the final corner. It will ruin his momentum up the hill. And this looks to be the end of qualifying for Denon, unless he can maybe muster up enough straight line speed on the run up to the line to try and go for one more lap. The closest challenger to Tehan Iranga at the moment, and he has spotted the final corner. Shan Amarasinghe up to the line. He's currently at a 1:23.9, but he's off the track. That will be a lap time invalidation for Shan. And it is just that. As we see Brian Pereira, he's not able to improve, but he might be going out for his final lap. Oh, that is it for Brian in qualifying. He will be a maximum of P3. His Centuran. Centuran up to the line will stay P11 for the time being. Kevan Samarjiva across the line will stay P10. Sharanya Mendes stays P8. And Xiaomo Mendes is in the pits. That looks to be the end of qualifying. That is the end of qualifying here at Circuit de Denon. And so, after a very close qualifying session, I'm now finally joined by my co-commentator, Sam Smith. Sam, how are you doing today?
Not too bad, how are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. After a pretty strenuous affair yesterday in the world of ACC, where there was not too much that took place, this is a welcome entertaining race set to begin here. Looking forward to it.
The circuit Le Denon.
Yes, circuit that is a practice.
Right, so this is the reverse grid for the first feature race.
This is the reverse grid for the first sprint race this weekend. We are just moments away from the start of this race, and the lights go out. It's a slow start from Niroshi Shan, and it's a bit of a tentative start from Sharanya Mendes from the front of the grid. She's immediately taken by Angelo Ceneratna and Savirat Naika, the three RHC racing drivers out in the lead of the race at the moment, and it's Angelo Ceneratna that leads the way. And it's a good start from Xiaomo Mendes, who just gets a little bit blocked off by Sharanya Mendes. Will we see a move down the inside from Denon Abisekra? There's contact back in the background between Ria Natapatu and Centuran, or I believe that was Ria Natapatu and Centuran. But back at the front, there's contact behind between Tehan Iranga and Denon Abisekra. Denon is now missing a rear wing at a circuit which definitely needs a rear wing here with all the elevation changes. That is huge contact between two title rivals here.
Yeah, and Denon's going to have to come into the pit straight away for that, so that's this race.
Oh,
and that's Angelo going very, very wide, and he hands the place to Savi.
And he's handed the place to more than just Savi. He is down in P4 at the moment. He just manages to muster himself up ahead of Sharanya, but now three RHC racing drivers have led the race on lap 1 of the race. Sharanya led Breedland. There's a big contact in the back. I thought Sharanya lost her rear wing for a split second.
I think that was Kevan. Was that Kevan or Niroshi?
It might have been Niroshi Shan, as I believe Kevan was a little bit too far behind for there to be contact there. But now The man who was struggling in qualifying, Shamal Mendes, seems to have found his groove here in the first race, but Xavi Radnaika finds himself in the lead here at Circuit Belledenon. For ease purposes, I believe Sam and I could just name this track in France. This French
and Shamal Mendes going very.
Oh, Shamal
Mendes takes the lead away from Xavi Radnaika. He took a very late move down on the inside, but clean. I think Xavi wasn't expecting an overtake at that particular part of the track, and now he has Brian Pereira also on his tail, which is really gonna. Well, as I say that, he sort of goes offline, and he seems to have possibly lost that position as well.
He did, yes.
He did, yeah. So he went a little bit wide. So in one lap, he's lost the lead and he's down to third. So
big moment.
And we have a
very big moment for Renat Patu. He's gone straight on. He might have been facing some technical difficulties there. And there is even more contact further back. There's a spin from Centurin and also a spin from Sharanya Mendes. There's also another spin further back. Denan Abesekra and Tehanaranga have joined the race once again at the back of the grid. But Denan should not let this. He can't let his guard down because he's basically a couple of mistakes away from starting on reverse grid pole here.
That's it. It's going to be, and like you said, that with the title fight, every point is going to matter to these guys. So this is not going to be taken lightly.
Exactly.
Right. So in the lead we have Shamal Mendes and Brian Pereira in second. Brian keeping in touch, just half a second between first and second place right now. Xavi Radnaika looking to drop back just a little bit right now. Wonder whether there'll be a battle between him and Angelo for that last place on the podium. But right now, right now I think the main thing will be, of course, it's just a 15-minute race, so there's not a lot of time for them to make their moves. So I wonder at what point will Brian try and put a challenge up to Shamal Mendes.
Oh, it might be now.
It looked as if it definitely is going to be now, as Shamal Mendes goes very wide, and now they're drag racing down the straight. Easy move there for Brian, but Shamal Mendes is not going to take that lying down. And we've seen that he had a lot of pace, perhaps not in qualifying, but he had a lot of pace. He's having a lot of pace within the race as the race goes on. So let's see what happens now.
Sam, it looks like you just had a little bit of a moment of bringing back and reintroducing the commentator's curse that plagued the first couple of races in ACC and iRacing.
Absolutely. And is that why we're now focusing on Xavi and Angelo, two teammates?
No, but Angelo Centurin and Xavi Radnaika were running at pretty even pace in qualifying, it must be said. They started second and third on the reverse grid, meaning they were 6th and 7th in qualifying. Who is the faster driver of the two this weekend? It is yet to be decided, and we will see very soon as Angelo Centurin is catching. He is catching and closing in on Xavi. Sam, have you had a chance to experience driving this circuit at any point?
No, not this circuit.
Because it looks... I tell you, Sam, this circuit is deadly if someone has spun ahead of you at one of the blind corners here. Because the final corner is already a blind corner. If someone's spun at the final corner, you're not seeing them until you get to the corner. The sharp left-hander in the third sector, we can revisit that sector, that corner very, very soon. Half these corners are very reminiscent of the famous Portimao circuit, where the significant elevation changes can cause severe oversteer, severe snaps on the rear end, and one little spin, even this corner, look at the exit of this corner, the severe uphill nature of it makes it almost impossible to see a driver spun on the exit due to these drivers driving in cockpit cam on iRacing.
Yeah, it's another element of, it's a very different circuit that we've chosen for the championship, and it's definitely going to separate the drivers. It's gonna give a massive amount of spotlight on their talent. Like you said, managing these cars around the track with so many elevation changes, and as we just say that, I mean, there you go, Xavi Radnaika getting it a little bit wrong there. taking the corner a bit wide and not getting the best entry or exit. So I think that's brought Angelo a little bit further into contention now. But
That is.
as I say that, Angelo locks up and he almost goes straight on at the last corner. But
That
they're both,
is.
like you said, they're both very evenly matched, right?
Yep. That
Right, so
was.
we have Sharma Mendes in second, and he's closing up to the back of Brian Pereira like nothing else. He's right there on the back wing of Brian Pereira.
Keeping
That's going
things
to be quite
interesting.
interesting.
Keeping things
Yeah,
interesting right at the front, as it was said that overtaking opportunities were pretty rare at this circuit. There are quite a few hairpins, but most of the drivers are quite nervous to make severe moves into these hairpins this weekend. Everybody was claiming that the optimal way to get past people in this race is to pressurize them into a mistake. Now that is usually the norm of motor racing, but it's become more of a strategy at this circuit in particular, as most of these corners are blind corners. Like the fast left-hand we just witnessed there is a blind corner until you come over the hill and see the actual apex in all its glory, as I believe Saudi Ratnaka was in P3 to start with. But Nirosh Yeshan in P5 is actually catching the RHC driver battle. That should spice things up quite a bit, as there is an incident further up in the sector for Centauran, one of the rookies this weekend, alongside Shrania Mendes.
right, so we have Angelo Severatno in fourth, Xavier Michael in third, Sharma Mendes in second, and Brian Pereira in first. Brian having to drive a very, very defensive game now. I think he's going to be concentrating, and they're both going to come up to lapped cars in a second. They'll
And that
begin to
lap
lap
car,
cars in a.
is that lap car not Tehanaranga?
Yes, yes,
That
it
lap
is.
car is
Someone
most
who's
certainly Tehanaranga. Very
someone
strange
who's
place
had
to see Tehanaranga in this race.
exactly some. He's definitely. I mean, he's had a lot of success in the championship so far, and this is going to be
Oh,
a little bit of an upset for him as we see Sharma Mendes going very wide there, getting a bit too close to the back of Brian there perhaps, and just losing his braking points, losing his markers.
and now we see a move. We see a move for 9th place. Every point matters here. But unluckily for Tehanaranga, even with making a move for 9th, he is one position off reverse grid pole for the consolation race, which would be gut-wrenching for Tehanaranga, as he'll see a championship rival in Denanabe Sekura potentially starting on pole position, and look who will potentially join him on the front row. It's none other than Mr. Kevan Samarajiva himself.
It'll be quite an interesting race for sure. Coming up, but everyone just needs to hold their position now as we come into the last 5 minutes of the race.
So we see Shyama Mendes in second, had a little bit of a moment behind Brad Pereira. I hope he does not get held up too much by Centauran being a lap car. But it looks like Centauran is maybe holding up Shyama a little bit, or he has held up Shyama just a little bit. Oh, it's more than a little bit. He's held Shyama up quite a lot there. And that might have just thrown away the race win for Shyama this time round. But another brewing battle is, it's my turn to redeem the cameraman's curse this time round, as we pan our camera to Angelo Severatno, who has just about had a moment. And is there a spin for Centauran out front? Yes, he is rapidly closed right up to the tail of Sami Ratnayaka. But behind us, we have a battle for P4 here.
Okay, Angelo is there.
We have a battle for P4. Angelo runs things very wide, and Centauran's getting involved here. Oh, I don't know how they've managed to get away with no contact, but they almost made it 3 wide into the hairpin, and Angelo's been blocked significantly by Centauran. It's not a very good day for blue flags so far yet. Oh, and he looks like he's going to lock up into Angelo. Oh, Luckily, Angelo survives without making any contact, but it was a very close affair throughout that entire sequence of events. But Sam, let's take a look a little further back on the lap. Two 140 kg class KT100 drivers here about to engage in battle, taking it from the real world all the way to the online world of iRacing.
What could possibly
come out
go
on top?
What could possibly go wrong? But yeah, it's great to see. I mean, every time you get behind the wheel, whether it's in real life or whether it's online in the virtual world, it does shape how your racecraft is, and it develops your racecraft. So this is great to see. Sharanya Mendes and Kevan Samrajula both fighting in the midfield.
Yes, and Kevan has actually increased and gone quicker by almost a second to the lap times he was setting in practice and in qualifying, so good on Kevan. The biggest improvements on the grid so far, it seems like Sharanya has made a bit of a mistake somewhere on the previous lap, and once again she's made another sequence of mistakes here. She's gone 1.3 seconds slower than Kevan Samrajiva on that lap. Kevan is now starting to close in rapidly onto the back of Sharanya Mendes. Things could get very interesting here. There is no love lost between these two from the 1 kg class. Fierce competitors in the real world who will be battling it out next weekend, next Saturday on the 17th of August. It's a minor lockup from Kevan, but it's an even wider moment for Sharanya Mendes. Sharanya seems to have the pace advantage based on their fastest laps, but as of recent laps, Sharanya's just seemed to make a few more errors than Kevan Samrajiva. So will Kevan be able to impose enough of a threat on Sharanya as she goes very far over, but even Kevan almost climbing over the curbs, but getting very close to the back of Sharanya.
I don't know how much of this is mind tactics as well from Kevan. He's taking very different lines, trying to get Sharanya to make a mistake. Both of them locking up quite a bit there. The tires are not going to like that, but there's only 1 minute left now until the end of the race. So, unless either of them make a mistake, it looks like they're going to come home in 6th and 7th there. But great for them because there's another reverse grid in the consolation race. So that means that they will be starting towards the head of the field. If it finishes how we are so far, it should be Denon on pole, Kevan second, Sharanya third. So that will be an interesting reverse grid.
Sam, for once, the lap count has actually ended on time with the actual timing, as Brian Pereira wins the sprint race here in France. It's Sharma Mendes who crosses the line in second. Savirat Naika crosses the line in third, followed by Nirosh Yeshan, who weaves across the line in fourth. We have Angelo Senaratna bringing it home in P5. And there is a big moment further back between between Sharanya Mendes and Kevan Samrajiva. Kevan gets into P6, but we only caught the ending glimpse of that incident. What did happen there? Was there a lockup from Sharanya's part? Kevan seems to be slowing, so it might...
I think he's letting Sharanya by.
It might suggest that it was actually Kevan at fault. Now Denon Abhisekar is actually catching as well. Will Denon overtake Kevan or not? Oh, he's actually going to overtake Kevan. And Kevan Samrajiva, in a major twist of events, will start the reverse grid on pole.
But Denon could have just held back and got the pole for the next grid very easily. Yeah.
Hey, but Denon is in a championship fight at the moment, so every point counts. Every point does count, even if it is a 1 point difference. But that is very surprising stuff.
Yeah, good. No, great to see Kevan also slowing down before the end. I think he realized there was a bit of contact there with Sharanya and let her take the place. Right, now we have 30 seconds to the start of the next race. The consolation race.
Everybody starts
cold.
to line up on the grid.
And we have Kevan Samajiri on pole. We have Denan Agbesekra in second, Geranio Mendes in third, Angelo Senna at the fourth, Nirosh Yashan in fifth, Savi Ratnaik in sixth, Dharma Mendes in seventh, Brian Ferrer in eighth, Centurion in ninth, and Jahan Aranga on 10th. Right. So, as we wait for the lights to go out.
I feel like we're missing two drivers, but the lights go out. And it seems to be a good start from Kevan Samarajiva, who seems to be able to lead the way, but will Denan make a move down the inside? No, he does not. Kevan Samarajiva leads the way at the front here at Lebanon. Oh, but he's gone sideways into this corner. Can he catch it? He has done just that, and he's able to hold off Denan. Oh, it's such close racing, but further behind. Things are just as close further behind, as there is a 3-car battle between 3 championship rivals. Shamal Mendes, Brian Pereira and Tehan Eranga insert Savirat Naika into the battle, as there is contact between Rian and Tehan Eranga. Tehan gets away with it, and Denan has taken the lead out front. Can Kevan hold off Angelo Senaratna? No, Angelo Senaratna gets past, should I say, Kevan Samarajiva. Oh, Kevan getting awfully close to the back of Angelo Senaratna. He slides. He slides right across the front of Savirat Naika further back.
Yeah. That was tough to watch. But great action. All the cars squabbling around the traction on this first lap.
It was great action. Phenomenal action to see. A bit too much action for my liking on lap 1. But luckily, even with all the spins, it was only Kevan that really had an issue there. He didn't really damage anybody else in any of those incidents. But it's unfortunate stuff for Kevan.
He may have got Avi's front wing though. I think he might just have flipped that. I'm not sure. We'd have to have a look at the replay later on. But anyway, right. So we have Denan leading the race with Angelo Senaratna in second, and Nirosh Yashan in third, Savirat Naika fourth, Shama Mendes fifth. Brian Pereira making his way up the field, started 8th, now is in 6th.
We have a complete deja vu event here, Sam. As last race, it was these 3 in this exact order in 1st, 2nd and 3rd. This time round, they're in 4th, 5th and 6th. Shyamal, there's no way he'll make a move around the outside here. Brian Pereira. Oh, Savi braking extra late there. Basically forcing Brian to get on the brakes even earlier. And look at this 4-car battle between 4 of the championship rivals. This is close stuff as Savirat Naika goes over the edge of track limits. Will he go down the inside into the final corner? No, he cannot. Brian gets a good run on Savi on the exit. So does Tehan Eranga. This is an incredible 4-car battle here.
I feel like Savi is driving with one hand tied behind his back. There seems to be something wrong with that car because he just doesn't have the speed. Look, now he's being passed by all of them pretty much. So I think possibly he was clipped.
Oh!
As we see, Brian, is that Brian Pereira?
That is Brian Pereira making an uncharacteristic spin.
And sending Savirat Naika into the shadow realm once again, upside down. That's a very familiar sight for him. But what wasn't familiar was to see Brian Pereira make a very uncharacteristic mistake and spin out.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, it's been a while. It's been almost 4 years of sim racing with Brian Pereira, and I've rarely seen Brian make such an error. I believe it might have also been from the wake of the lap car in front, from Centurion in front.
Possible. But yeah, it just shows even the championship leaders can sometimes have these problems. Right now we have Nirosh Yashan making life very difficult for Angelo Senaratna. Angelo having to look in his mirrors at every turn, as both of them look very, very racy, very competitive.
It's a good run. Good run by Nirosh Yashan.
Yeah, very good run. He has the potential to overtake now. They're really pushing it on this straight. Is he close enough here? Probably not, but the next few corners is where...
The issue with those long left-handers, Sam, is that it's a heavy traction loss zone. So making a move down the inside there would require you to put extra steering input and potentially lose the back end even quicker. That's the reason why most of these drivers are maybe choosing to go around the outside and get a bit of a switchback on the final of the 3 first corner left-hand inputs. But that's why most of the drivers have maybe saved these moves for the hairpin sections of the circuit. One of the points being this third gear right-hand hairpin. But Sam, this is the corner I was telling you about, which is almost a blind corner, which catches out so many drivers. As you can see, Angelos and Ratner turning in too early, with Neeraj Yashan turning in too late.
Yep, everyone's taking their own different lines. It's a track which I think from what I can see so far, the lines very much depend on your driving style, as both drivers taking that final corner very, very aggressively, trying to carry as much speed as they can, because of course it's an uphill on that main straight, so you need to carry as much speed as you can, because without a good exit on that last corner, you're going to be very slow uphill. This is all very good news for Denon Albisekra, because he's in the lead. 3.7 seconds now is the gap between him and Angelo. So yeah, he's having a pretty quiet race so far.
Denon, one of the fastest drivers on the grid, Sam, but has had so many unlucky moments this season, being in the lead and dropping out from the lead of the race. I cannot be certain on whether Denon has actually won a race this season. He's had so many second and third place finishes, so many top 5 finishes, but I can't put my finger on whether Denon's actually won a race. So this might be Denon on track to win his first race of the season. I could be very wrong, but nonetheless it will be his first race win for quite a while, if he has in fact won a race.
Indeed. And also someone who's now back up fighting in the field, Tahana Ranga, who has won a couple of races in the championship. He's now in 5th. He's between Sharma Mendes and Brian Pereira, so 3 very fast drivers there. It's a good idea to keep an eye on them, because they'll be coming through the field at some point, as we see Kevan going off track a little bit there. Savi Ratnayaka, unfortunately, had a bit of a spin, and that is on reversing onto the racetrack. Oh, that was so close, so close, but that's okay. That's okay.
Very, very close.
He's not out of that would not have been good for Denon. That would have been potentially.
It would have been my fault as well. The commentator's curse, basically calling the unlucky moments for Denon this season. That's the last thing I would have wanted to see happen. But nonetheless, Sharma Mendes is catching this battle for second rapidly.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's because these guys are holding each other up.
Oh no!
Oh no! No! Okay. Well,
once again
spinning out, and he's being very careful to rejoin the track. That's great to see, but that's going to be so disappointing for him. He was leading the race for about 8-9 minutes that we've had so far, and just lost it. So now we have Angelos and Ratna, and all of a sudden that battle for P2 is now the battle for the lead, and Sharma Mendes is coming up on them very, very fast.
And now the leaders are going to be catching Kevan Samrajiva once again. Oh, things could get very interesting here.
Don't go away. Things would definitely get very interesting now.
And look at this.
Okay,
so the top 6. The top 6 are all within basically 6 or 7 seconds of each other. This is all to play for. These 3 getting involved in a collision with each other could still result in Denon fighting back. However, it seems Denon has dropped to P6. He might have had a further spin, or that might have been where he rejoined overall.
I think that was where he rejoined in P5 or P6, I think. So he might have got taken by Brian Pereira. I think he rejoined P5 and then got taken by Brian. So it's going to be tough for him, but like you said, anything can happen, and these guys are going wheel to wheel right now, and they're coming up, and
oh dear!
Oh no! Okay, so that is Angelos and the sense spinning around by Neeraj Yashan, and Sharma Mendes also having to take evasive action there. This has opened up the entire field, because now I believe that was Was that Brian Pereira?
No,
Is
that's
that
Tehaneranga
no? That's
from
Tehaneranga.
P10.
Tehaneranga has from P10 has managed to come through the field. He also it looked as if he hit Sharma Mendes up the rear though, so that's going to
What did
be
happen?
investigated by the.
Sharma Mendes.
Yeah,
It looked like
yeah. I
Nirosh
think Sharma
Yashan
Mendes.
just slowed down, maybe, to try and let Brian Pereira
It
back through, but it was actually
yeah, it
Sharma
was
Mendes
very
behind it. That might have been
quickly.
the
I
issue.
think exactly. I think everyone jumped on the brakes and they weren't expecting it, and I think Sharma Mendes got rear-ended perhaps by Tehaneranga. But the upshot of this is Denon is coming through the field again. So there he goes into P4. Easy move there made by Angelo. Tehaneranga now in second place, having started 10th in this consolation race. This isn't the race where you expect the backmarkers to come through the fields quite so quickly. You'd expect that to happen maybe a little bit later on, but no, now he's challenging for the lead. Nirosh Yashan in the lead, but I think Nirosh Yashan will also be under investigation by the stewards for spinning Angelo. In all of that, we had Kevan Zamajira demonstrating Farming Simulator by going off course and getting out of the way before that action happened. So thankfully he wasn't part of that.
Just a little bit
But
of
yeah,
agricultural work there.
yes, just a little bit.
But nonetheless, out of the blue, Tehaneranga finds himself in P2. The man who spun from the lead, Denon Abisekara, is also not too far off. He's a couple collisions away from being in the running for a win. But, wow, we need to just take a moment to digest what we just witnessed. As you mentioned, Nirosh Yashan will be under investigation for causing a collision with Angelo, but also potentially for brake checking Sharma Mendes. I know it was to maybe let Angelo back through, but it has potentially broken Shyama's rear wing and caused him to pit.
Yeah, a very, very interesting, very action-packed few corners. Everything just seemed to happen all at once, and yeah, I think all the drivers, their situational awareness is probably um, anyway, their situational awareness probably could be a little bit better. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough when you're in the middle of a race and the difference between this and the racing in the real world is it's much easier to give places back, I think, on the virtual track, but you need to pick your places where to do it. You can't just brake and expect everyone else around you to understand that you're just trying to let someone by. So yeah, I think the way Kevan did that in the early race at the end of the race was perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, that might be something that needs to be investigated. But I understand what if that was what happened. I understand why they did it. But anyway, so that's all to be discussed after the race. But Nirosh Yashan, let's not take anything away from him. He's still managing to lead the race, and he's still in the lead, and he's putting up a very good fight to Tehaneranga and Brian Pereira as well, who's in third. He's not getting that much closer. As all the cars going very wide on that exit, aren't they? They're all going over the white lines there. I guess track limits aren't being enforced on that corner. So yeah.
Back to the front.
Yeah, back to the front. We see
Very close stuff
Yashan.
now between
Okay,
3 and Denon
all three,
Abisekara in the back. We'll try and reach this top 3 battle come the final lap of the race. We have one more lap of racing left after this one. Oh, it's very close. A 4-way fight for the lead going on to the final lap. It's exactly what we want to see in this championship. And Tehaneranga is looking to make a move. He's got the run, he's got the overspeed, and he has got the place going into turn 1. And Brian Pereira will also go down the inside. Nirosh Yashan losing 2 places in the space of 1 sequence of corners, but he looks to be able to fight back against Brian Pereira, maybe make a move down the inside here. Oh, it was very close stuff, and Denon Abisekara is now on the back.
Now he's going to open up the door to Denon. Denon is going to be hoping, praying that he can at least get a podium as consolation after leading the race for almost half distance and then spinning out. And it looked like spinning out on his own without any outside assistance. So yeah, this is going to be crucial for him and his championship battle as we see the 2 R8C cars together. Xavi Ratnaik and Piranha Mendes.
Oh, there's a lapped car. Centurion, the lapped car on the final lap of the race gets out of the way of the front runners. Thankfully, this time around, he does not
good,
impede any of the front runners. But is there a little move from Brian Pereira in this final corner, or can he pressurize Tehanaranga into a mistake? It's a good run
Now
from
it's
Brian
all about the
Pereira on
straight
the
line
exit.
speed. Who
It is
got
a
the better
very good
exit? It's going to
run.
be a drag down to the finish.
Oh, it's going to be very close.
No.
That's another photo finish. Wow.
Okay. That was very close there. Nirosh Yashan seemed to have the pace over Denan there.
But it's
But yeah.
Tehanaranga who wins the consolation race by a tenth of a second ahead of Brad Pereira in P2. Nirosh Yashan wins, finishes P3, should I say, by hundredths of a second ahead of Denan Abhisekara. Angelo Sinaratne in P5. Sharanya Mendes will finish in P6 ahead of Savi Ratnaka in P8. And then we see Kemal Samrajiva in P9, finishing ahead of Shyama Mendes in P7. Now this is crucial because that means that Shyama Mendes will start in a lowly P7 for this feature race. Wow, that was a lot to digest.
Does that make up for the ACC race yesterday?
That most certainly made up for the ACC race yesterday. It was a good race of strategy. It was a good race of, let's say, consistency, but the lack of overtakes at the Nürburgring really made the ACC race yesterday maybe a little bit more difficult for the spectators to watch. I think it's safe to say that the two iRacing races we've seen today have definitely made up for that. So, in this little 5-minute window we have, already a minute has actually gone. Sam, I thought we were going to see you on potentially ACC very, very soon. What happened to your eventual return to esports racing?
I forgot to buy a graphics card.
Oh, no, Sam.
Yeah.
Try and get a graphics card before the final round. Last weekend is the final round
No,
of
I I've decided to sit this year out for ACC, but I'll be back if you. I don't know. There's been this idea of a dirt championship floated around for about 2 years now, and we still haven't had it. So if we do that, then I'll be there for that, and I'll definitely be back at with GT7.
stuff.
Did we have a warm up last time for iRacing before the final race?
I don't. Oh yeah, we did. We did have a warm-up time last round, and all the rounds before that. Because we do need these drivers to have a little bit of a break. But nonetheless, this is the final iRacing round, and at the moment, I believe Shyama Mendes was the championship leader coming into this race. It is yet to be seen whether he will stay the championship leader as we leave this weekend. So everyone, please be sure to keep a close tab on the Sonoma Motorsports Club socials, as you will be able to see the precise championship standings after this live stream is complete, as we do not want to make any rogue assumptions on the championship points until the final penalties are made.
Yeah, so even basically what Thiago is saying there, although cars may finish first, second, third on track, penalties can be applied later on because everyone's given a window to submit their footage, their video footage, and then stewards can make a decision on whether certain moves were right or wrong, whether certain incidents, where the fault lay on another driver, and then penalties are meted out in due course. So yeah, that's how the championship will be. But coming into this round, as you said, Shyama Mendes was leading. I think Brian Pereira was also he was in second, was he not?
Yes, I believe so. This is exactly why a final championship call out at the end of the feature race would not be optimal, as it's gotten to a point where Shaman Mendes' championship lead is not secure anymore, with Brian Pereira having won the sprint race and then finishing second in the consolation race as well. So he is taking a huge chunk of points out from Shaman Mendes' championship tally. And with Brian starting P2 for this feature race and Shaman starting P7, it's all to play for Brian. He could potentially steal this iRacing championship away from Shaman Mendes.
And wouldn't that be something that would be quite interesting to see? Brian Pereira, of course, recovering from a bout of the flu. He wasn't able to take part yesterday in the ACC race, but the iRacing Championship very much on his mind, and I'm sure no matter how he's feeling, he'd be there to try and grab it at whatever it takes. But yeah, we have about 15 seconds now before the start of the race.
He's known to have done this before as well. If you take your mind back to 2021, the Gran Turismo Sport Race at Home Championship, in the Pro class, he came into the final round of Circuit de la Sarthe, sitting roughly 4 points behind another professional racing driver, Rushdie Irshan. He came out of the weekend with a 2-point lead as the new champion, basically coming on through into the weekend on the back foot, but with a podium finish and a dominant P2 finish, he was able to just take the championship away from Rushdie in the final race itself.
Yeah, that is true. Right, so your starting grid, we have Tahana Ranga on pole, Brian Pereira in second, Rushdie Irshan in third, Denana Besekra in fourth, Angel Senaratna fifth, Shiranya Mendes in sixth, Shama Mendes in seventh, Savi Ratnaika eighth, Kevan Samajiva ninth, and we have Centauran in 10th.
We also have Rian Atapattu in 11th, and we have a return of Shan Amra Singha in P12. So we have a whopping 12-car grid for this final feature race of the 2024 season here in the iRacing Race at Home Championship. And so the countdown comes to a 0. We go to 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and the cars are off. It's a good start from Tehana Ranga, who looks to have had the jump on Brian Pereira. It's a good start behind from Nirosh Yeshan, who's able to just stay ahead of the cars behind. Denan Abisekara held off, but Brian Pereira is looking to make a run on Tehana Ranga. Will he go for a move down the inside? Brian Pereira takes the lead on the first lap. Are there any moves further back? It's the two RHC drivers facing off against each other. Savi Ratnaika takes the place of Shiranya Mendes, and so does Shyamal Mendes, who goes down the inside of Savi Ratnaika. Shyamal is into P6. Angelo has kept his 5th position, starting position, with Brian Pereira leading the way at the front. This is what Brian needs if he is to try and take the championship away from Shyamal Mendes. So after most of this first lap, it is... Oh, we have a spin behind from Kevan Samrajiva, I believe. Yes, it is. And another spin. We have a lockup. Oh, we have a spin from Shyamal Mendes. The championship leader has spun on the first lap.
That's not going to be good for him, but I mean, if you do have a spin, at least it's early on in the race, so he has 28 minutes to hopefully compose himself and get back to it. No one choosing an early pit stop just yet, so that means everyone managed to get through the first lap.
I believe Shyamal has pitted, Sam. Shyamal Mendes seems to have pitted. He's done the early stop.
Okay then, so maybe he had a little bit of damage on his car, or maybe he just wants to play the long game now. I think it's probably that.
There's a big dive, but a clean dive. It's a clean dive.
Denon took to the inside to avoid contact, I think, and he's continuing to try and stay out of the way. Neurosheshan, but this is going to be vital for him. I don't think he's in championship contention, but he at least wants to get second or third place in the championship, Denon. And Angelo Sanaratna right there behind, ready to pick up any scraps that come from this battle. And looks like Neurosheshan has managed to keep it clean and managed to defend pretty well there. And we're just waiting now for Angelo to have a sniff of what could happen in front. All the cars coming into this corner. This is a very crucial corner. As I said, you need to get as much speed on the exit as it's an uphill, and then that really affects your speed on the downhill as you're coming across the start line. As we see Kevan towards the back of the field, and Shama Mendes, yeah, so Shama Mendes still at the back, so he's gonna try and just have a clean race from now on and try to basically undercut everyone else.
Oh, big
Right,
move
so
here.
we have Denon once again. A big move there from Denon. Denon not quite able to get past Neurosheshan just yet. Let's see what happens here as he once again goes very, very deep on the
Oh
inside.
dear!
And, oh dear, Neurosheshan overcooks it and spins out and clobbers the car of Denon on the exit, and Denon did very well not to hit Savi Ratnayaka as he rejoined the track as well. But yeah, very unfortunate there.
Once again,
Very unfortunate.
Once again, it's just
Cars will probably be damaged as well, so now they are going to have to come into the pits and try and regroup. Now, interestingly, Brian Pereira hasn't gone screaming into the lead with the 2-3 second gap that we normally expect from him, because Tehanaranga, who started P10 in the last race and somehow managed to win it, is sticking with Brian as best as possible. I feel like there's a bit of race management also going on from Brian Pereira's side. We've spoken to him a few times after the race, and he's pretty much said that, you know, he doesn't want to take too much life out of his tires early on in the race. But that said, Tehanaranga is looking very, very racy behind Brian Pereira now.
And you can see the difference in lines, with the Tehanaranga having a more sharper, more tighter entry into the second right kink after the first sequence of corners. Brad Pereira taking a bit more of a wider flowing line. You can see maybe Tehan might just be trying to stay out of the dirty air on the traction zone, to basically try and gain on Brian on the exits and have some mid-corner stability. However, Brian seems to have tried to pull away just a little bit, because there is race management taking place, but you also don't want to race manage yourself into a position where the car behind is essentially side by side with you down the straight. But crucially, Shama Mendes, having pitted on lap 1, will that be enough to send him all the way to the end of the race? I believe it will be enough. 22 lap race here. However, things can get really close.
I think the cars are fueled. From what I understand, the cars are fueled one lap less than what is optimum.
Oh my goodness!
Okay.
What?
Wow. Okay, that's a very creative line being taken by.
Oh dear! Oh no!
No! Not like that. Not there. That was Denon's race once again, seemingly impacted massively there. That's a shame. That's a real shame. Right, so Kevan has Shama Mendes coming up behind him as well.
That is not what you want to see.
Shama Mendes needs to, it isn't. Shama Mendes needs to get past Kevan fairly quickly and fairly cleanly. Because Shama is in the championship hunt.
Exactly.
Yep.
And he also needs to get past Centurin here. Will Centurin... Okay, there we go. Centurin has calmly let him through, and once again Kevan jumping over the track limits. This is quite
I think Kevan needs to try and get past Centurin. He's trying every which way that he can.
This is a pretty undisciplined driving at the moment, as he has now collided with Centurin. You could almost see that coming. It's not what you want to be seeing this late into the championship, being the final round, having taken out the man fighting for third in the
Right, okay, so into the Shadow Realm goes Kevan Samrajiva, and that is Yep, into the Shadow Realm, and he's actually he may have saved himself half of the track there. So
Wow.
yeah, okay, interesting. I think
That was...
he's found a new way to perhaps win this race. Um, one would hope he comes into the pits now. Okay, right. He goes into the pits. Great.
Alright, let's go back.
And we see, oh, that was Centurion, I think, losing it on the main straight. Not a great place to lose it.
Oh yes, Centurion has lost it. Okay,
Okay. Right.
so after
Anyway,
that
right.
mini
Back to
montage
the
of events, we ride back with the leaders.
yes, back to the real racing. Right. Brian Pereira in the lead with Tehanaranga. Now Tehanaranga has dropped back a little bit. He seems to be managing himself a little bit. Angelo Senaratne in third with his teammate Savi Ratnayaka behind him in fourth. That's a happy place for those two drivers to be right now. I think they won't be complaining about that, seeing as how much drama has happened to them in the previous races.
Really
So if they can keep
unfortunate
that,
stuff.
that'd be great.
Really
Very
unfortunate stuff
unfortunate. Now,
here for Denon and Shyamalan as well, because the Denon incident has also undoubtedly slowed down Shyamalan in both cases.
yeah,
Finally.
absolutely.
So the lap cars, well, the
Yeah, this is
leaders, Brian and Tehan, I don't think they have to worry too much about catching Denon at the moment, because if Denon does have a repaired car, I don't believe he'd be slow enough for these leaders to be catching him. I believe Denon is actually going quicker than the leaders themselves. However, this lead battle has stayed pretty consistent throughout all the chaos that we've witnessed so far.
yeah, absolutely.
So Shyama Mendes once again in P7 has come out behind Kevan Samarjiva and Sharanya Mendes. So Sharanya Mendes is his closest competitor in P6. For Shyama at this point, every point matters in this championship fight. We see here Savi Ratnayaka coming up against his RD6 teammate. Will he be able to make a move on Angelo Senaratna? And if so, where?
Well, with Angelo going very wide there, getting a bit of four-wheel oversteer, or four-wheel understeer rather, going very, very wide, bit of a four-wheel drift, and looks like he might be coming under pressure in the next few laps, I think. So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Shout out to Sharanya Mendes as well. I think, is this her first or second time in the iRacing Championship?
This is her first iRacing race here with us.
Exactly.
So it's a very...
great to see her as something predictable happens. And
but that was once again Sam's, regardless of who it was actually right in front of Shyama Mendes as well. So once again, Shyama Mendes suffering from
very tough. It's
low speed of contact.
Right, so at the head of Pereira and Tehanaranga, both battling. Okay, here we go. Now this is going to be interesting. Both teammates, they were going to want to keep it clean. Looks as if Angelo, I think Angelo let him by.
Here we go. Angelo seems to have let him by, but wow, that got really close.
Yeah, that got very close up at the front. I wonder what happened there. But yeah, Angelo definitely let Savi by. I don't know whether they have a team strategy. Maybe they'll try. Maybe he thinks that Savi can challenge for the top two positions better in this point of the race, and maybe if he can't, they'll swap each other around again. But that'll be interesting to have a look at as well. But yeah, Tehanaranga keeping Brian Pereira on his toes no matter what. He had dropped back a few laps ago, but now once again catching Brian Pereira as well. I think this is where the pit stops are gonna make things very interesting. Who blinks first? Who's gonna come into the pits first? As we have about 14 minutes left in the race, or rather 18 minutes left in the race. It'll be very interesting as we approach the halfway distance.
And I really hope Savi and Angelo don't get held up here by lap cars. Today has not been a good day for lap cars. in this race, but Centurion very smartly getting out of the way of Savi. I'd hope that is him getting out of the way and not just friendly. It might... Okay, he was getting out of the way, very smartly done by Centurion, very sensibly done. Back at the front.
Yep, that was good.
Tehaniranga, ever so close to Brian Pereira. This must be either infuriating or calming for Tehan, because it could be one of two things. It could be Tehan trying everything possible to try and get past Brian at this stage, or he could also just be pacing himself and just waiting for the optimal point, maybe through strategy, maybe through a pit stop. He could even just be using Brian's slipstream to save more fuel, maybe make his pit stop a bit later, or even not have to do a pit stop at all. Could be one of many things here, but nonetheless, they're close. And what I said earlier is correct. Denon has not been caught by the leaders yet, and he has also set the fastest lap of the race, so once again highlighting just how unfortunate it was that Denon was caught up in such an incident. One thing to point out though is Shyama Mendes is only 10 seconds away from Niroshi Ashan in P5, so at the moment Shyama is on course to potentially get 5th in this race if he can catch and overtake Niroshi Ashan. But the real question is who is going to stand on the top step of the podium, as these two are so closely matched. Oh dear.
And as we've seen before, it could be any other driver. Literally any of these drivers could come through, because Tehaniranga was in P10 at the start of the Constellation race, and that race is only 15 minutes long. We still have 16 minutes left in this race. So literally any driver could stand on the top step of the podium. Not wanting to tempt fate here, but you never know. Especially as Brian Pereira and Tehaniranga are running so close to each other, and we've seen this track is very unforgiving. And once you mess up, once you go off, it's very, very hard for the following car to react. There's not a lot of time that, and there's a lot of, as you said earlier, Thiago, there are a lot of blind corners. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting as we have about 15 minutes left in this race. Now I'm just interested about who's going to start pitting first. Who wants to pit first? Who will dive into the pits? I thought Brian was looking for a second there, but no. Potentially. Interesting mind games perhaps being played.
Ooh, I believe we have Niroshi Ashan from P5. He's made his pit stop, which has promoted Shyama Mendes to 5th. Shyama Mendes having made a first lap pit stop, so that's a positive for Shyama Mendes. I believe he did make a first lap pit stop. The rest of the top 4 have not.
So yeah, that is going to be very interesting. Like I said, Shyama Mendes has to now try and undercut everyone else. He has to pick himself up after the very unfortunate first lap incident, and now, knuckle down and see what he can recover from this race. I believe he could be on for a podium if he plays his cards right, if he manages to keep the car clean, if he manages to stay out of lapped traffic as well. He might be on for a podium, depending on how consistent his laps are. And of course, depending on how these guys are going to play it out in the front. Tehaniranga once again. He looks as if he's hustling that car, trying to keep up with Brian. I don't know whether that's just from the angle that we see, but Brian's steering input and lines seem a lot smoother. It looks as if Tehan is wrestling that car just a little bit, maybe to try and
be down to the different driving styles. I know that from the real world of racing, Brian has a very smooth driving style coming from all levels of go-karting and even Formula 4. Brian is a very smooth driver, as is the case with most go-karters nowadays. That's why you'd also see very smooth driving styles even from the likes of Sharanya Mendes, who, albeit a rookie, and may be struggling with a little bit of pace and consistency, but you'd be able to see that, oh dear! That Angelo Senaratna, who has spun off into the barrier, and I don't believe it was due to any form of contact with Savi, as I think he was well enough away from Savi at the time of the contact. That might have just been a case...
Yeah, that car looks badly damaged as well. He's wounded, he's just going to have to limp back to the pits and try and fix his car in the pits, I think. Staying well out of the way of everyone.
Oh, he's
Looks
having
like
it
it's been
towed.
off to the side of the track.
That is
Yeah.
so unfortunate for Angelo Sinaratna, but here we go. Sharma Mendes coming to lap center run. Hopefully center run does not get too in the way of Sharma. It looks like he might just be letting Sharma through here. No, he is not. Sharma, you can see just how careful he's keeping things because he knows that he can't afford to get involved in anything here, and rightfully so. That's
Okay, there you go.
very fortunately he's gotten through. Then Abhiseka, who quietly been making his way back through the grid. He's in P6. Unluckily involved in the first lap incident, but nonetheless he's found his way back here. Nirosh Yeshan, who's in P7, surprisingly he's a minute down, so he might have actually pitted with damage, because he's a lap down, just being lapped by Savi Ratnayaka in third, although he did pit from fifth as Savi has a very close moment on the gravel. Very bizarre stuff here from Nirosh Yeshan.
Yeah, you don't want to dip your tires into the gravel like that too often as well. You're just playing with the limits of adhesion there, as we see another spin from Kevan.
And Savi gets past Nirosh Yeshan properly, I feel. Nirosh Yeshan sensed that Savi was lapping him, he was on the lead lap. As we see Sharma Mendes, who is now in P4 with the spin of Angelo Sinaratna. This is crucial stuff for Sharma Mendes. And Tehan Eranga has made his pit stop. Tehan Eranga is in the pits. Where will Sharma Mendes come out in regards to Tehan Eranga? I believe Tehan has enough of a gap over Sharma Mendes. Savi Ratnayaka has also taken the place ahead of Sharma. Sorry, should I say Tehan Eranga? Tehan Eranga exits the pits in third position, so he is well clear of Sharma Mendes.
But I'm not sure whether Savi will exit ahead of Sharma Mendes. That's what I want to see. I think Savi
could get very close.
Sharma could get very close, but Sharma also is coming up on the back of lap traffic as well. Please, okay, Sharma is coming up to the back of this car. Is he not? Okay, he's through. He's
Thank
through.
Goodness.
That is very lucky for him.
Because Sharma Mendes' hard work so far has got him all the way back up into fourth place, provisionally third place at the moment. If Savi Ratnayaka's pit stop brings him out behind Sharma. At the moment Sharma is 32 seconds away though, so it might be enough for Savi at the moment.
It depends what's on. It also depends if Savi has any damage on his car, I think.
But so now Sam, Brian is in the pits. Now it's time to see where Tehan Eranga comes out in relation to Brian. Was Tehan able to save more fuel than Brian and not need to take up as much fuel? He was following Brian's slipstream quite a bit. Will this be enough? Savi Ratnayaka continues through in the lead of the race. Where is Brian Pereira in relation to Tehan Eranga? Has this been a storming out lap from Tehan? Brian is exiting the pits. Tehan will just come out in around the same lap, same gap to Brian Pereira, so there was pretty much no difference between the two. Now the only driver we are yet to see a pit stop from at the moment is Savi Ratnayaka, as he just about laps Nirosh Yeshan, or maybe relaps Nirosh Yeshan. What will Savi Ratnayaka be able to do? Will he be able to change his tires in time, fuel up in time to come out ahead of Sharma Mendes? Sharma Mendes is closing in rapidly. Things could get really close with Savi's pit stop.
Yeah, definitely. We have. So I think Savi will come in probably this lap or the next lap, so that'll be very interesting for us to see. But I don't know if he had a bit of a moment, because he's very close again with Nirosh Yeshan, right? Okay, so there we are. Savi is coming into this. So this is going to be crucial. This is going to be crucial not only for the championship but for the rest of this race. If we can get our eye on Sharma Mendes and see where he is on the track.
So Sharma Mendes just about making his way through the third sector. We're looking on the top right at the minimap icons. just to see where car number 3 of Savi comes out. When will he come out of the pits? He's come out of the pits and it looks like he's well clear, but
He is well clear,
Shamal
but he's very close.
Shamal has had the pace advantage this weekend, so with 7 minutes remaining, will Shamal Mendes have enough time to pull back that gap on Savi Ratnayaka and maybe close back in for a potential podium to potentially cement the championship? Because the whole worry was he was sitting down in P8 at what point with Brian in the lead. Brian must have been over the moon at the start of the race, and now he must be looking at the standings and thinking, how on earth has this man got back up to P4 and now potentially fight for the win? Sorry, for P2 should I say. Or P3.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting these last few laps. And still, the battle exists up front. There's still a battle going on for first. The cars are... Tejano Anga is not giving up at all. He's right on the back of Brian Pereira's wing there. As we see Denon very well... I mean, he's managed to
it's a great job
claw
by
his
Denon
way
as
back
well.
up. Very good performance from him. Again, another very unfortunate early race incident. Several incidents throughout this weekend for him. But yeah, it's good that he's managed to climb his way back up. He also had the fastest lap point.
And I see what's happened here. I saw Tehanaranga at the exit of turn 1 cut the inside of the circuit, and I was about to tell you, Sam, that these drivers are taking quite a few more risks with track limits, as the usual norm with iRacing is that when you do cut the circuit and incur a penalty, you essentially have a certain amount of, about a 30-second period to lift and coast and basically slow down for about a second or more, depending on how severe your corner cut was. So from what I can understand, and if you don't lift and coast in time and reduce speed for long enough, you get a 30-second stop for a penalty.
Yeah, very similar to GT then.
So that's what I see is happening for Tehanaranga.
Yeah, it does make sense. It kind of takes a little bit of the excitement out of the first place battle, but those are the rules. That is the game, and there's plenty more action that can happen in the next 5 minutes, particularly between Savi Ratnayaka and Shamal Mendes, because the gap now is down to 0.9 seconds.
And Shamal Mendes setting a personal best, 119.1. He's only a tenth off the fastest lap.
He can see the podium.
Yep, he's only a tenth off the fastest lap set by Denon Abisekara. He is flying.
He can see that podium. It's within touching distance for him. He knows he can get it. He knows he deserves it. He had a very unfortunate couple of races. This weekend has been pretty miserable for him, so if he's able to get this, it would be good for him. But Savi Ratnayaka, credit where credit is due as well, has been driving pretty well throughout the weekend as well. Again, incidents that weren't his fault led him to have some mechanical issues and having to pit during the consolation race and be sent right back to the grid. So both of these drivers really want to have at least this podium. It's going to be very tough as Savi Ratnayaka goes very wide and clobbers the curbs on the exit of that chicane there, and the gap has now come down to 1 second. He's 0.9 seconds have been wiped off in the space of a lap, and that's going to be even less now, I feel, as Savi Ratnayaka got a pretty poor exit on that last corner on that uphill, the crucial uphill, and we have Shamal Mendes closing in 0.5 seconds now. The gap,
and this is now a new personal best lap time from Shamal Mendes. It did include some track limit extensions, but we quickly close to the front of the grid as he has been able to get through properly.
Okay, so this is going to be the battle for the last podium position.
There's a move.
Savi Ratnayaka locked up. He locked up. He goes wide. He manages to catch it. He doesn't spin off, thankfully for him. But that is Shamal Mendes through. And Shamal Mendes is going to be very happy with that. But he has to keep up these next few corners to make sure that he doesn't give any more opportunity to the chasing Savi Ratnayaka to make it back, to get that place back. Savi Ratnaika really wants it. You can see his lines are becoming a little bit sloppy, but he really wants that podium. He really wants something out of this championship. But Sharma Mendes, just as motivated, seems to be flying up at the head of the field now.
So we
Right, so
back
somehow,
with the leaders.
yeah, Tehanuanga, even with that with that lifting and coasting, Tehanuanga has managed to get right back up on the tail of Brian Ferreira again. So it just shows how fast Tehan is. It's just that as soon as he gets within a couple of tenths of Brian Ferreira, he just doesn't seem to be able to. Either Brian is wise to where to position his car and where to get the exit on each of the corners, or whether Tehanuanga just cannot get close enough to make a move. As we
Close
see,
moment
that was
between
very
Sarania
close
and
with
Angelo.
and
Angelo
yep,
getting
the
his
two
way into
teams.
P7, but crucially, the front runners, Sharma Mendes, the championship leader, the potential champion, oh dear. That got very close between Sharma and Sarania. Oh my goodness.
That was
We were complaining about Kevin.
Yeah.
That was almost even worse.
No, it is tough. It is
It
very
is very
tough
tough in these blind corners, and as you can see there, Sharanya lets Savi through rather easily. But back to the front of the grid. This is the final lap of the race. Tehan going very far wide as Angelo goes extra defensive.
Has he gone too wide?
No, that seems to be okay. The track limits aren't that bad there. Here we go. It's much closer than before. Is Brian maybe running out of fuel or running out of tires here? Brian might be running out of fuel here because Tehan is closed in rapidly.
I think Brian is just managing it somehow. But yeah, Tehan looks as if he's the faster car of the two of them. It's just that he just cannot find a way past. There was a back marker there which I think prevented him from slingshotting it around the outside on the downhill. But now...
Oh, wow. Look at the lap time set by Denan Abesekra in all of this. Fastest lap of the weekend.
118.
A 118.5. 5/10ths quicker than the next fastest lap. That is crazy. But here we see, can Tehanuanga do anything? It's a carbon copy of the consolation race. Only this time it's Tehanuanga behind. Can Brian get a good run out of the final corner? It looks like he does. It'll be a slipstream battle to the line, but it looks like Brian Pereira has just about done enough to win the final feature race of the CMSC iRacing Championship. Neeraj Shashank finishes off in P6. Angelo Senaratne will finish in P7. And following behind is championship contender Sharma Mendes in P3, who looks likely to have won the championship, but it will soon be confirmed once penalties are all decided. Savi and Sharanya finishing side by side over the line. Centeran finishes off in P10. Denan, somehow, with all the flipping and all the spins he had this race, he's finished P5 with a monstrous fastest lap of the race. Kudos to him.
He has to be very proud of himself for that, because that was a tough race for them. But I think the standout, Sharma Mendes, coming from the back, having to pit very early on and managing to claw his way back up to that P3, and that is a very crucial P3 for him in this last round of the championship.
And here we see the donuts display from the drivers. It is the end of the F4 championship with just one more round of the ACC championship to go. The drivers taking it out on their rubber, just completing a whole set of donuts. They won't need these engines anymore. And sadly, we do not see donuts at the moment from the man we usually see doing donuts mid-race. But yes, what a race. What an absolutely...
Yep, a very thrilling race.
That was a fun race.
It was a fun race. Another great showing by iRacing. And I think from the way we started off in the championship to where we are now, these drivers have really improved a lot. It's great to see how everyone is performing now. It looks as if we're in for a thrilling battle again next year. We still have one more round of the ACC Championship, and then we'll move into, I believe we'll be moving into the Gran Turismo Championship after that for this year to close up this year, and then again we start it all over again next year. So yeah, that was great to see. But yeah, I don't know, Thiago. I saw a lot fewer spins in that round, a lot fewer
Yeah,
incidents
it was
compared to
a lot fewer
where we were.
self-induced.
Like
Yeah,
no, and compared to where we were about 3, 4 months ago, definitely a lot less.
yeah, a lot fewer self-induced spins than usual, as there were quite a few
Yeah,
on-track incidents. But look at how close the racing has become. If not for those incidents, we would have seen, well, a three-tenth fight for the lead over the finish line by Brian Pereira and Tehan Eranga. If you take it back to the consolation race, two photo finishes for the top four. It just shows how much better the drivers have got throughout the championship, and the same can be said with ACC. And I hope another one of these championships are hosted before the end of 2024. Because although this is the 2024 championship, we could have a second sequel this season, potentially.
eh? How
We
does
could
that work?
we could have a second sequel, a one-off spin-off championship. I'm sure these drivers do not want to wait till next summer to have yet another F4
Yeah,
championship. We could You could even maybe catch us potentially doing community race live streams in the future.
enjoy.
But for sure, Sam, we have some exciting announcements with potential returns of the Gran Turismo Championship for console gamers in the form of the Gran Turismo 7 Championship, and also Dirt Rally 2 making its return. I know you're excited about
What
that.
happened to the Formula One Championship?
That is also in the works of being made. It's
Uh-huh.
just being classified whether we'll be running F123 or F124. Because
I
on
see.
one hand, more drivers have F123, whereas it is I'm not aware of whether the handling model on F124 has been fixed because from what we saw it was quite atrocious as of recent, but
Yeah.
if more drivers are to get F124, we could potentially move to that. As we remember from 2022, with Gran Turismo 7 still being out, due to its connection issues, due to its lagging issues in lobbies, we chose to run Gran Turismo Sport for an extra additional season,
Yeah.
and then move
Yeah.
to Gran
That's
Turismo
true.
7 for 2023.
Yeah, that would be the smart thing to do, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway,
So,
thank you
uh,
very, very much, Sam. This was, once
thank
again,
you.
another fun race to see.
Yep, great to see. And we'll have the championship updates uploaded to the CMSC social media pages as soon as we get a word on the final results. There'll be a few incidents, I'm sure, that the stewards will have to investigate over the course of the next few hours. So once that's done, we'll be able to tabulate everything and give you a concise and cohesive breakdown of how the championship has played out for the 2024 season of iRacing.
And so, thank you very, very much to all the viewers for sticking with us throughout all the rounds of the championship, and even if you've tuned in for just this round, thank you for joining us this time round. We wish to see you next weekend for the season finale of the ACC Championship, where Tahanaranga has taken the championship in ACC, but second, third, and fourth, and all the positions downwards are still up for grabs.